Well, no, thank you again for, coming by on a Saturday and, sitting with me for a few minutes and sharing your story. I appreciate you, man. So thank you so much for that.
No, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Yeah. So let's start off, like, tell me how did you find out about surplus funds and overages, and like what kind of attracted you to the niche? And also share kind of the opposite, like what hesitations or reservations did you have before jumping into the business, so to speak?
No, great question. I've actually was in and out of the real estate field for some years. I've owned property previously. So I had gotten out of real estate. And so I was looking into, okay, well, what I'm going to do now when I had started, after I think I was out for about 10 years. And so, I was like, well, what do I need to do? Because I wanted a side hustle to start making some money, so that I wouldn't be as dependent on my job anymore. And so I actually started wholesaling. It was what 2019 maybe.
Yeah.
Um, no, actually, probably about 2018. Yeah, 2019. So I was like, okay, let me just took a free course. I had started taking some of the steps. Um, so I was just beginning that. So while I was learning wholesaling, putting those steps into action, I came across an advertisement for what ended up being surplus recovery. So, I looked into that. I researched that company that was advertising their course, and it led me to start researching others as well. So I ended up narrowing down to like four different courses, and yours was one of them. So I watched some of your free, YouTube videos, and I had never heard of this. And so, it was kind of like mind blowing, and also that hesitancy of, is this real?
Yeah.
So, basically I took those four courses. I kind of did a comparison of them. I compared it down, or dropped it down to two programs, yours and another young lady's. And ultimately I ended up going with your course. And the reason for that was because, number one, the content that you provided for free was really enough to start doing the business. So I appreciated that. And then number two was your character showed through the videos how genuine you were, how authentic you were, and it wasn't like you were, a salesperson trying to sell this program, like a lot of the other programs that I saw out there. So that's kind of, how I came, into the knowledge of surplus recovery, and what ultimately, led me to purchase your course, even though I was, you still have the hesitancy of, is this real? You know, so those were kind of the things that kind of held me back for a minute, but I went ahead and I think it was 2020, I purchased the course.
Awesome. Awesome. Very cool. So we kind of had a similar start too, because I also was in, did some wholesaling as well before I started doing overages. So that's really interesting. What do you do for work?
So at the time of all this, I actually was a technician working for a telecommunications company,
Cool.
did installation and repair. I've just transitioned to work for a healthcare company, full time remotely. And so that was another part, because I was, wanted to get out, because I was working in the field every day. So I wanted to, change that. So this has, helped in that transition as well. So now I work full time for a healthcare company.
Very cool. Very cool. So this started out this kind of a side hustle, but it's helped you transition to be able to work more from home, generate an income from home, which is awesome. Since you joined the program, what's kind of been your, you know, what's happened since then? What has transpired? The deals that you've done so far.
So it's definitely been a journey. Um, like any new business, there's a lot of learning. There's a lot of growing pains. Specifically, so far, I've closed two deals, and my third deal is actually in the court, just waiting to be basically receive the check.
Yep.
Um, but the beginning of, going through that process, it's just a lot of overcoming fear.
Yeah.
The fear of the unknown, the fear of rejection, because what we're doing, we're contacting people, and even though we know we're trying to bless and help that person out, they don't know that. We're just another telemarketing call to them, another scam to them. And so overcoming those hurdles, overcoming that fear of rejection, overcoming their objections is really the biggest part for me that I had to had to deal with and work through and continue to work through. So my first deal was actually a state case. Actually, my first two deals are state cases. And it's funny because in your training, you warn about starting with the state cases. And so, but that's just the way it worked out. And I'm glad that I did it though, because it allowed me to see the bad to work through those struggles. So now that some of my cases now are more straightforward, it's like, oh, that's easy. So I have one case, like I said, my first recovery check, I got $1,600 for. I think it took about 6 months from beginning to end because it was an estate case, and we were only able to recover half of the proceeds because it was a married couple, that had since divorced, and I wasn't able to reach uh, the spouse or ex-spouse that was still living,
Mm,
but I was able to reach the brother of the deceased. And so I was able to recover for him and his brother. So what I kind of learned out of that process was you're going to have to do those, as you say, going 3 levels deep.
yeah.
You're going to have to, keep searching for family members and friends and do everything that you can to reach out to someone because you don't always know if that person is still living. Sometimes you do, but or still, or is deceased, I should say.
Yeah.
And so that was a big help, and just trusting the process that you laid out. And I still remember receiving that, email that the case is going through, and then receiving the check in the mail. And what that solidified for me was, even though the check was $1,600, and we can see in the Facebook groups that people are getting really massive checks. What that solidified for me was that it's real.
Yeah.
That it was proof of concept
Yep.
that I can do this, that it's not a scam, and that I can help people and help my family, which is my why, helping my family. And so once that check came in the mail, that switch flipped to, okay, this is the way for me to be able to transition from my full-time job to working from home. And I'll tell you, like I told my wife about it, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm quitting. Like I'm going to quit my. She's like, wait, wait, wait. It's don't quit too soon. Okay. I'm happy, but that's how real it was for me.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's amazing. And that you brought up some really good points in that first deal. I mean, so you kind of went the harder route doing estate cases. And for those that an estate case is just where the prior homeowners passed away. So you help their heirs. Um, and it's one thing I want to point out too is you can recover partial overages. You don't have to recover the full amount. You can recover just for those folks that that are entitled to it. And if someone else is entitled, well, they either wait until you find them or it just sits there forever.
Right.
And then I love that you mentioned overcoming the fear, because that is very much real, and I think it's for everyone is going to encounter it. um are there any things that you did specifically that helped you overcome those fears of the unknown and starting something new?
Um, During that time, I focused a lot on mental preparation, as in doing my affirmations, um, reading, the course material, and then, well, essentially talking to myself in the
Yeah.
sense that talking myself through it, talking myself into it, and then once you get to that point, just dive in.
Yes.
Don't wait. Don't, hesitate. And it's a daily thing because um, you may have 1, 2 days where you're focused, you're in there, you get it going, and then that third day comes, and for some reason you're just like, I don't feel like it. So you have to keep yourself. I don't even want to use the word discipline because discipline has such a negative connotation with it, but you just have to keep yourself motivated. And so one, doing my affirmations, talking to myself, and two, just going back and listening to listening to your modules on cold calling, on reaching out, right? Because for some people and for me, I'm pretty good at following, directions or step-by-step things. So if I just focus on going back to say, okay, what did he say do? Okay, let me go do it right now. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so it kind of gets me out of my own head and just into following a process.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I have found that there's not really a hack to overcome fear other than to do the thing that you're afraid to do. Um, Unfortunately, that is the way, at least in my experience.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
you did mention something important too, and I think that, preparing your mindset and your affirmations, and I think what that, yeah, it's not really much a discipline, like you said. I think maybe it's increasing your conviction in the service that you're providing. The greater you believe in your service and your what you're doing for folks, the less fear you'll feel. You'll still feel you're still gonna have those days, because even I have those days like, man, I don't really like want to bother these people, blah blah blah. Maybe what if they yell at me? What if they do this? That doesn't go away. The
Hmm.
more you do it, the less it those thoughts come.
Hmm.
But it's all about, like, and especially now, once it's real, it's like, wow, this is a real service. We are really helping these folks. And the greater you can increase your conviction and your belief in yourself and in your own business, the less those fears have power, the less power they have over you, so to speak.
I agree. I think you hit it directly with, it's like the more experience you have and the more positive results you get, the more lives you start to positively affect, then the negative thoughts start to decrease because you know that you're helping more people. Case in point, my case now that we're waiting on the check for, I spoke to the gentleman and he said he had spoke to other people. He had been to court to try to save his property, but no one, seemed to help him. And I said, and I said, well, I'll do everything that I can to help you, recover some proceeds or even get your property back. Because what I do, and just real quick, so because I also do other things, in real estate, I still do some wholesaling, and my company is built. Equity Saviors is built as a resource for people that's going through foreclosure. I contact people pre-foreclosure,
Nice.
and I give them the steps and to avoid foreclosure, to help them avoid it if possible.
Yes.
um, because at the end of the day, and this is the part about your course and about you that really resonated with me, which is at the end of the day, it's about helping people.
Yeah.
Okay. So even if I don't profit or make a dollar from this transaction, if I've helped you save your equity, which is why my company's name Equity Saviors, then we've accomplished our mission.
Mm.
That is what we're set out to do. So in his case, we weren't able to, stop the foreclosure, but we're going to be able to get him that equity back into his pocket. And he literally was, he's just so excited and appreciative of the fact that he had spoken to attorneys, he had gone through all these other steps, and you know but at the end of the day, we're going to be able to help him. And so for me, that positive experience helps to fight that fear and negativity of what the next person may say, because you're not going to be able to help everyone that you come across. They
Yep.
have to be open to it.
Yep.
But you just move past that and go on to the next.
Yes. That that's solid gold information right there. Thank you for sharing that. That's I love that you have that mission in your company, and it really is like it's pretty amazing too that because we get there's this question a lot where like people like, well, why don't these folks do it themselves? And the problem is, in some places it's not very easy, or in some places they have fought so hard to keep that property that when it finally is gone, they're done. They're just like, I don't want to deal with this hassle anymore.
Mhm.
It is also just kind of a testament that out of all the people he dealt with, you're going to be the only one that actually brings him a positive result, which is just phenomenal, amazing. So congrats to
Thank
you
you.
on that.
Thank you.
Very cool. Awesome, man. And so you had, what about your second case? What was that one like? That was another estate deal?
That one was an estate deal, and it actually just recently closed. That is my longest deal. It's taken over a year.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, there are 6 heirs because both of the parents passed. 2 of the children of the parents passed. So I was dealing with, first level and second level heirs.
You were dealing
Um,
with the children of the homeowner and the grandchildren.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. So tracking, number one, tracking down everyone.
Yep.
2, getting everyone on the same page.
Yep.
Um, and then also a thing that I've run into a little issue with is getting the certified documents, because the state that I'm in, and I work well, this particular case is in Delaware. Um, Getting the certified copies of death certificates, because some people have them, some people don't, is really like can turn into a process, in itself, like months.
Yes.
So, dealing with those for multiple, death certificates. And then honestly, this was a big learning experience, because these are my first couple cases for me doing it, but also the first time working with an attorney, right? So getting that understanding of the process of how things should be handled on the attorney side, how I want to handle things, and just marrying those systems together, it takes time,
Yep.
right? And so initially I was, a little, I guess, thrown off, or when you're starting something, you want something to be okay, hurry up and get done, right? So
Yep.
I was being impatient. I was being impatient, and I had to take a step back and like, okay, this is the figuring out the process, setting up a system, and all those type of things. So that is the reason why it's taken so long, is because of all those errors, and getting all the documentation together and submitted to the court. So, like I said, it was over a year, definitely. It's almost a year and a half it took for it to pay out, but it finally paid out. But the funny thing is it's still not over, because I'm still, even after you receive the check, um, you still have to make sure that all your clients receive their checks, right? That's the most important thing. And
Yep.
so I'm still working on one client to make sure that he receives his check, and it'll be pretty much said and done.
Nice. Yeah, I actually have a case in that same state right now. That's also an estate case. I think
I
like
heard.
seven
Is
A.
that the big one?
Yeah. And that is our exact holdup, is getting death certificates.
Mhm.
So I feel you there, brother. I feel
It's just like, man, there has to be a better way to facilitate this process.
yeah, I don't know what it is. If getting death certificates in that state, it's tough, but
Mhm.
it's got to be patient and roll with it, I guess.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Would you I guess kind of to wrap it up, what kind of insights or recommendations or anything would you give to someone that's just learning about overages or is brand new or anything like that?
Great question. Um, Take action is the, hot, what do they call it? The little hot tip.
Yeah.
a little hot take is take action. But what that means for me is because taking action is what you're going to do, but you have to figure out what levels and what areas you're going to take action in. Mindset is key.
Yeah.
Okay. If you have to determine what you're doing it for, your why, um, and then you have to, as I stated, keep your mind active, growing, motivated.
Yeah.
And so once you take action in your mindset, then you can take action and determine what area we're talking about surplus specifically, but just in general, what area you're going to take that action in, and then dive in and get the information. Don't be scared to purchase a course and invest in yourself, but don't purchase a course and invest in yourself if you have already taken the action on your mindset,
Mm.
because then you're just going to be wasting money. And I've done that previously. I've purchased courses, started it and then stopped, or purchased it, read it, and never started.
Yeah.
So it's more important to start on your mindset first, then find the material or the content and take action and start implementing as you're learning. Some people want to wait. And this is the thing also about your course that I like is your your action steps, your action at checklist at the end of the module. It gets you moving. Don't wait until you got all this information overload, really, is
Yeah.
what it is. And then you have analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
And so take action while you're learning, even if it's little action, just take that action while you're learning, and you keep a group of people around you that will help to motivate you to do what you need to do.
I love it, man. All good points. Yeah, and it really is true. Like when I first got started in, like, real estate and overages, a lot of people would say the same thing, that, oh, it's all about mindset, right? And I was like, no, it's not. It's about actually what you know and what you do. And
Hmm.
but the mindset, what your beliefs is what leads to the actions you take. And so if you're not committed to a certain strategy, you're not committed to a certain process, you're going to be distracted by something else. And I have been that guy that you
Hmm.
mentioned, where I've bought courses and never done anything with them. And so did I see a result from them? No, because I didn't do anything, because my mind wasn't committed to what I was learning. So that is really, really important. I'm glad you said that. And then I also am glad that you brought up the take action as you learn. Because again, that's the reason I outlined it that way, is because I have also been that person that consumes an entire book or a course, and I get to the end, or I go to an event and I have this great event, it's like 2-day event, and I learn so much stuff, and then I get home
Hmm.
and I'm like, oh, what do I do now?
Yep, exactly. That's me. That was me. Yep.
And that's very normal, like it happens to all of us. And so it's like, that's why I put that in. It's like, okay, learn a little bit, now go out and do the thing that you just learned, because if you do consume the whole thing, I guarantee you will feel overwhelmed. It
Yeah,
is a lot of information.
absolutely.
um
Yeah.
that's a really good golden nugget. Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much again for hopping on. I appreciate you, and congrats on your deals. I'm super excited to see your future successes and hear about them. Any final departing words before we wrap it up?
Well, first off, I want to say thank you for your course, for the information that you provide. Not only do you do it in a manner that speaks and resonates with me, which is with a genuine and authentic hope to help and improve other people's lives. Um, but the fact that it continues to grow, you're continuing to put information in there, so that's definitely helpful. And so I mentioned this before, and I'll mention this now. Like when I started the course, and I saw some of your other YouTube interviews, I thought to myself and said to myself, like, man, I want to be a testimony. I want to be on the interview because that proves that I took the information and I put it into action. And so to be here today with you is an honor for me, but also it's a testament of me um, putting a goal up and a teaching that reaching that goal, but also a testament to your course.
Mm.
And if you take it seriously and you put in the work, because it's work, it's long hours, it's not a get rich quick scheme or any of those things.
Right.
But if you put it into action, you will start to see results. So I will leave it with that.
Awesome, brother. Thank you so much. That was awesome. And thank you for, applying what you learned. It just is a testament to who you are as a person. And you you're the one that created the results, so be proud of that. I mean, I'm proud of you, but I hope you take pride in that fact that, you're somebody that learns something and follows through with it, and that is what it takes to create a life that you want. And so it just shows that you have that ability, and that's a gift. So much respect to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.